Well, there, very good evening to all our viewers. This is Primetime News, and we are coming to live and direct this evening from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Bringing in the news, I'm Joel Outskun.
And I'm Nicola D'Souza. Here are your headlines.
President stresses on change in the police department. Deputy Minister Bulletin hits out at Finance Ministry for slashing police allowances. Agreement on purchase of Australian heifers missing. Court awards compensation for people affected by the Chunnakam power plant. SLFP trade unions warn of attempts to sell off Sri Lankan Airlines to Lanka Mobile.
Well, starting off with our top story this evening. Now, it's been 18 days since intermittent power cuts became a daily occurrence across the island. The lives of Sri Lankans who depend on small and medium-scale businesses suffered the biggest blow of the power outages.
Newsfirst toured various parts of the island today, looking into the impact the scheduled power cuts have caused at a ground level.
I'm currently in Colombo Fort. People in this area are experiencing difficulties due to the intermittent power cuts. In addition to that, several areas in Colombo and surroundings are experiencing water cuts as well. People are continuing to be burdened. I'm Martin Satyanesan for Newsfirst.
With the breakdown of the traffic signalling light due to the power outages, even travelling along these roads have become dangerous. It's been 2.5 hours. They said that the power will be back in half an hour. I went to get a CV. Can you go to an interview without a CV? We apply colour on jewellery. We need power to do this. We are here doing nothing from morning.
අපේ බිස්නස් වල දැන් ගොඩාක් අඩු වෙලා තියෙන කස්ටමර්ස්ලා ආවට ඒව ගන්න කරන්න මේ විදුලිය නැති හින්දා තෝර ගන්න කරන්න හරි අමාරුයි ඒක නිසා අපේ අලෙවේ ගොඩක් දැන් පහතට වැටිලා තියෙනවා.
We can't just close down because there is no power. People don't buy this because they are not cold. We are suffering the same way every day. Did the government do everything to provide relief to the people? The power that was cut off at 5 in the evening was restored only at 11 p.m. It is the ministers and MPs who have destroyed the country. That is how I see it. They have been in politics for 70 years now and we still can't get power. People don't come here during power outages, so our business has reduced. We can't carry out our businesses these days. We have to pay our employees. We can't wait in the heat. We don't have business.
අපේ අවුරුදු ගැන නම් ආයේ කතා කරලා ඕනේ නැහැ. බිස්නස් එකක් කරගන්න තියා රෙදි කෑල්ලක් මහ ගන්නවත් ඒකවත් කරගන්න කරන්ට් එක නැහැ. දැන් මේ අවුරුද්දට රෙදි බාරගත්තේවත් නැහැ මහන්න. ඒකෙන් තමයි කීයක් හරි හම්බ කරගන්න තිබ්බේ. එළිය තමයි දාලා විකුණන්න වෙලා තියෙනවා. කඩේ ඇස්සේ ලයිට් නැහැනේ. රෙදි වගේ දේවල්.
People need light to choose their clothing. They come here with their children and leave with nothing in hand. It's only during the season that we can get some decent business. When they cut power during this time, as well as those customers also don't show up. They sit in their AC rooms in Colombo and mind their own business. We are the ones who suffer. I am a chicken meat trader. We have not had power since morning. It is very hard for us to continue. We don't have power in our city, but there is power in the other city. I don't know who makes these decisions. The government must realize that the people are fed up. We would like to express our displeasure to the government. We would like to question as to what our country leaders have been doing for the past 70 years.
மின்சாரம் இல்லாத காரணத்தினால் எங்களை வியாபாரம் படு வீழ்ச்சியடைஞ்சுள்ளது. உதாரணமாக இப்போ சீசன் வியாபாரம், வருஷ வியாபாரம் இருக்குது, மற்ற அங்கால அச்சேதி வியாபாரம் என்று இருக்குது. அப்போ அச்சேதி ஓடர்கள் தரைக்க டிசைனில் காட்டணும், மற்ற தர ஓடர்கள் எடுக்க எங்களுக்கு கட்டாயம் மின்சாரம் வேணும். மின்சாரம்
வருஷம் வர இருக்கிறதால மிகவும் நாங்கள் அதை கஷ்டத்தை எதிர்நோக்கி கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். இந்த மின்வெட்டு என்பது 3 மாதங்களுக்கு முதலே இந்த அரசாங்கம் திட்டமிட்டு அதை சீர்படுத்தியிருக்கலாம் என்று நான் நினைக்கிறேன்.
The blame game goes on as trade unions in the energy sector continue to point the finger at one another. Regardless of the statements made, however, it is the general public who are at the receiving end of the sufferings. We are at a time where the people of this country are in a struggle to make ends meet. And while they are thrown from the frying pan into the fire, just a few have their pockets full as a policy. This has to end. To the CEB engineers who accuse various factions, we pose the following question. 1,480 megawatt small solar applications in 2015. Dendro 80 megawatt non-conventional renewable energy, 150 megawatt mini hydro non-conventional renewable energy, 100 megawatt mini hydro power plant. Plans to add 1015 megawatts to the system in 2017. Mana wind farm with a potential of 375 megawatts. The 90x1 megawatt solar tender. The new Uma Oya, Broadland and Moraghakanda hydro power plants. Who was the cause for the delays in the constructions of these power plants and their expected targets not being reached? The country would not have been in darkness today if these had been implemented at the very least. For the sake of the people, the mafia of devouring commissions in the form of trade union actions has to be brought to an end. There have been instances in the world's history where such bold decisions were taken. On the 5th of August 1981, following the PATCO workers' refusal to return to work, US President Ronald Reagan fired the 11,345 striking air traffic controllers who had ignored the order and banned them from federal service for life. In 1984-85, UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher followed the same course of action against a trade union campaign launched by coal miners in a bid to protect her country's economy. The prime example in Asia is how Singapore's first ever Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew, took on a group of air traffic controllers on strike.
I can tell you that when I met the SIA pilots, I didn't meet them on TV. I met them face to face, 5 feet across the table so they can see me and see whether I'm still vigorous, able to campaign and take them on. And I offered them two choices. Either you argue, you stop this intimidation, ruining his reputation, millions of dollars worth of advertisements and sales. I gave them a choice. Continue this and I will, by every means at my disposal, teach you and get the people of Singapore, help me teach you a lesson you won't forget. And I'm prepared to start all over again or stop it.
The people believe the time is upon the country to take similar measures against the energy mafia, which has today left the country in darkness for their own personal gain at the expense of the people's sufferings.
News from courts this evening. The Supreme Court today ordered the Northern Power Company Limited to pay compensation worth 20 million rupees for residents who were affected by the Chunakam thermal power station in Jaffna. The Supreme Court ordered the company to pay a maximum of 40,000 rupees as compensation to each family.
National Water Supply and Drainage Board was ordered to supervise the handover of compensation. Northern Power Company Limited was ordered by court to continue operations of the power plant under the stipulated condition and in a manner that does not harm the environment. The order was issued by Justices Priyantha Jayawardena, Prasanna Jayawardena and LTB Deidenia after taking into consideration a petition filed by environmentalist Dr. Ravinda Karyawasam on behalf of the Centre of Environmental and Nature Studies. The petition filed in 2015 points out the oil and grease released by the power plant contaminates the water in wells located in local areas. On the 31st of January 2016, the Supreme Court, taking the petition into consideration, issued an interim injunction suspending the operations of the power plant. Former Chief Minister of the Northern Provincial Council, C.V. Vigneswaran, the NPC and the Attorney General, among others, were named as respondents in the case.
Representatives of the Sri Lanka Nidahas Sevaka Sangamaya of Sri Lankan Airlines convened a media briefing today.
The thieving group who worked towards selling off this national airline to Emirates and obtaining commissions in 1998 are planning to sell this airliner to a company that runs on LTTE funds. We have received information that a cabinet paper to privatize this airline will be presented next week. We know for sure that the Lanka Mobile Company are eyeing this airliner. Not only that, we state responsibly that they are recruiting a number of senior officers who have worked at the national career. We would like to inform the President that we are headed towards a massive issue that could even jeopardize national security, even trying to find a way to make the airliner profitable. The President appointed a special commission. The report submitted by the commission has made a proposal for the catering division and the airport service division. The airport service division is a place that earns a profit of $100 million annually. It would be very unfortunate if such profitable divisions are removed from us.
තාමත් අවාසනාවන්ත තත්යකට තමයි අපි පත් වෙන්නේ.
මෙම ආයතන පාඩු ලබනවා නම් රජයට ගොඩ ගන්නත් බැයි නම් මේක නිකන් මේ වෙන කාට හරි දීලා හරි මේ ගොඩ ගන්න බෑ.
ඒක රජයට ගොඩ ගන්න බැරිකම නෙමෙයි.
It is not that the government cannot fix this. They won't fix it. How can you do it when ministers are changed every 6 months? The catering institution earns millions in profits every year. Sri Lankan ground handling earns profits in the millions. So what is the need to privatize profitable institutions?
එතකොට මේ ලාභ ලබන ආයතන පෞද්ගලීකරණය කරන්න තියෙන අවශ්‍යතාවය මොකක්ද?
අර ලාභ ලබන කොටස් They are trying to remove these profitable institutions and in the guise of selling it to local investors. They say investments are coming in from an American company or a Dubai company through a company they have set up. They show this on the outside and are selling this to Lanka Mobile. If the most profitable institution of Sri Lankan Airlines are sold off, what will remain of Sri Lankan Airlines? They are trying to do this to close down this airline without directly shutting it down. So we warn the government that if we resort to trade union action that day, we will close down the international doors. The government will never be able to sell off Sri Lankan Airlines like it sold off Hambantota Harbour.
Hambantota Harbour එක විකුණුවා වගේ ශ්‍රී ලංකන් ගුවන් සමාගම නම් විකුණන්න හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ කවදාවත් ආණ්ඩුවට.
The budget vote will take place tomorrow evening. What will be the stance of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party? Views were expressed on this matter at a media briefing held today.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party will take a decision this evening. I would prefer if that decision is to vote against the budget. If the Sri Lankan Freedom Party decided to vote against the budget proposal, it would strengthen the ongoing discussions. See what happens tomorrow. We are trying our best to stay with the party, to stay united and move forward together. But there are instances where this cannot be done sometimes. If the budget proposal can be defeated, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party doesn't have to think twice. But the reality of the situation is that this proposal cannot be defeated because of the TNA and the JVP. If the JVP comes to a position to defeat us, then the whole thing turns around. We will do everything we can to persuade our party to vote against this budget proposal.
Meanwhile, this is the response from the United National Party towards the final voting round of the budget, which is to be held tomorrow.
No, they know they support the government, develop the country, develop their areas. They were facing hardships because of the war for 20 to 30 years. At least now, they have to take use of this government. I think they will support this time as well. President is also holding few ministries in this government. Therefore, that is their responsibility to support this.
The Australian Broadcasting Corporation has revealed that hundreds of Australian and New Zealand cattle have died in a federal government-backed export deal with Sri Lanka. The foreign media institution adds that this loss has left local farmers broke and in some cases suicidal.
Australian Broadcasting Corporation News quotes that in a damning report published in May, Sri Lankan Auditor General Gamini Vijayasinghe described the project as an unbearable burden to the government and said project planners had misled farmers who had suffered financial difficulty and mental distress. Auditor General Vijayasinghe noted that as far back as 2008, the Sri Lanka Planning Department found that imported cows were climatically unfit for Sri Lanka. Providing a statement to Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Animals Australia spokesman Tim Vasudeva stated that this cattle export scheme must be stopped. Vasudeva said the situation highlighted the need for change to welfare standards for live export cattle and that Australia does not have proper laws in place for the export of cattle for dairy purposes. Under the deal, the Australian company was contracted to import 20,000 dairy cows to Sri Lanka between 2012 and 2019. And after the present government came into power, the relevant agreement had been amended. It was previously revealed that at this point, 5,000 heifers had already been shipped and plans were in place to ship the remaining 15,000 heifers in the next 12 months. Australian Broadcasting Corporation, quoting local farmers, adds that more than 10% of the 5,000 cattle imported so far had died and many were diseased. Dairy farmers lament over the limited production of milk, as they were told each cow would produce 20 litres per day, when they only produce 10 to 15 litres per day. Under the terms of the project, underwritten by the Australian government's export credit agency, EFIC, the Australian company was required to provide Sri Lankan farmers with facilities, training and veterinary support. However, Australian Broadcasting Corporation, quoting Ceylon Cattle Farmers Federation, stated that farmers received no training or workshops and only received a small leaflet without any technical advice. Meanwhile, Dr. K.D. Aryapala, the Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Rural Economic Affairs, stated that the relevant ministry does not possess a copy of the agreement that was entered into in 2016 with the Australian company which exported pregnant heifers to Sri Lanka. This was revealed at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing allegations of large-scale fraud and corruption at state institutions from 2015 to 2018. K. Aryapala was present at the commission today, following an order issued yesterday. The commission issued this order after establishing that the documents he presented yesterday were incomplete. K. Aryapala, testifying at the commission today, revealed that the document submitted today was the copy of the agreement that was obtained from the local agent of the controversial Australian company. The Additional Secretary accepted that a new agreement was formed in 2016 and the Secretary to the Ministry of Rural Economic Affairs had signed the respective agreement. However, the Commission failed to identify who had signed the agreement on behalf of the Australian firm. The Additional Secretary stated that he was only appointed to his position in April 2018. He said that the Ministry's decision to proceed with the purchasing of heifers under the second phase was based on a Ministry Committee report, stating that there were no issues with the heifers purchased under the first phase. The question from the members of the Commission was, after the report was released, did the Additional Secretary attend the meeting between the then Subject Minister and the group who were affected by the issues after the purchase of heifers under the first phase? The Additional Secretary replied and said that he did attend the meeting. The Commission then questioned as to if the then Minister Vijit Vijaymunisoiza, who oversaw the purchase of a batch of heifers, made a statement that 10 of the animals had died. The Additional Secretary accepted that such a statement was made. The Additional Secretary further stated that he was not responsible for the decision to approve the advance payment to import more heifers under the third stage of the program and added that the decision was taken by someone else. News First had previously exposed that approval for the advance payment was given a few days prior to the retirement of the former Secretary of the respective ministry, who is the wife of the Secretary to the Prime Minister, Saman Ekanayaka.
On to more news this evening, government backbench MP Heshwidanikamige raised a question in Parliament today on garbage being disposed into the Chandrika River in Ambalapitia. He went on to criticise the response given by State Minister Ajit Manaperuma.
ඇඹිලිපිටිය ප්‍රාදේශ සභා සතිපොලේ අපද්‍රව්‍ය චන්ද්‍රිකා වැවට එක්වීමක් සිදු නොවන බවට වාර්තා වී ඇති බැවින් අදාළ නොවේ.
ගරු ඇමතුමාගෙන් මම ওই ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරේ දුන්නේ කවුද කියලා වෙලා දැනගන්න කැමති ඉස්සෙල්ලම.
උත්තරේ දීපු අමාත්‍යාංශයේ රාජ්‍ය ඇමතිතුමා මෙතන ඉන්නවද?
There is a paper factory close to the Chandrika River that has reserved a 5-acre land to dispose garbage. On rainy days, the garbage is washed into the river. The ignorant official who provided that answer has written that such an issue will not arise. So will there be no justice done to address this problem? Did he inspect the location and provide the answer? Because as the chairman of the Provincial Council, I know that this is happening. Were you the chairman of the Provincial Council or the Pradeshya Sabha? So wasn't it you who dumped the garbage? It was your Pradeshya Sabha that dumped the garbage, wasn't it? I only want an answer. If I dumped the garbage, I wouldn't be asking the question. The State Minister is providing hilarious answers.
චන්ද්‍රිකාවට මීටර් 700ක් 800ක් දුරින් තමයි කුණු දාලා ඔබතුමායි කාලේ ඉඳන්ම මේක දාගෙන ඇවිදින් තියෙන්නේ. මම සභාපතිවරයා ඉද්දි කුණු දැම්මේ පෞද්ගලික ඉඩමක. ඒක ප්‍රමාණවත් වෙන්නේ නැතුව දැන් මේ වර්තමාන සභාපතිවරයා මම ඒ සභාපතිවරයා වැරද්දක් කියන්න බෑ. ඒ සභාපතිවරයා කුණු ගෙදර ගිහින් දාගන්න නෙවෙයිනේ. මීටර් 700ක් නෙවෙයි මීටර් 50ක්වත් නැහැ.
The question raised by the MP was a humanitarian one, but Honourable Speaker, the response should not be to evade it and accuse someone else. This is the duty of the Ministry of Environment.
වෝටර් බෝඩ් එකේ වාර්තාවල තියෙනවා ඒ ජලය වල කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැයි කියන එකයි.
කරු කතානායකතුමනි මේ පට්ටවල් බොරුවක්. වෝටර් බෝඩ් එකේ ජල
වාද විවාදයකට යන්න අමාරුයි. අද හුඟක් වැදගත් කරුණු දෙකක් තියෙනවා.
අහිංසක මිනිස්සු ඇලදොලින්.
ගරු රාජ්‍ය ඇමතිතුමා තව පැහැදිලිකමක් පොඩ්ඩක් හොයලා බලලා දැනුවත් කියන්න. ඉවරයි. ඔන්න.
A discussion was carried out in Parliament today regarding sand mining.
කූඩෙන් වැලිකොට දැමීමෙන් වෙනුවෙන් ලැබෙන්නේ
Only 2,000 rupees can be earned per cube of sand when mining sand with baskets. The Geological Survey and Mines Bureau has introduced GSMB system. There is doubt in this regard. Money paid to this institute goes straight to the nation's trust bank and Sampath Bank. If the government is to receive these funds, they do not need to be sent to the Sampath or Nation's Trust Bank. If the government is to receive these funds, they do not need to be sent to Sampath or Nation's Trust Bank. A person who mines sand during the entire day gets only 2,000 rupees. One tipper can only transport 3 cubes, so they can only earn 6,000 rupees per tipper. However, a tipper charges 13,500 rupees. KMCC Maharaliya. These people get around 40 tippers a day even without staying in a queue. If they need to get a sand tipper without being in a queue, they need to pay 10,000 rupees. And this is paid to the Sri Lanka Independent Tipper Owners Union. There is a sand mining mafia in Polonnaruwa. It is a complete lie that they get 40 tippers a day. Even I gathered information on this. Only 4 tippers are given per day. Although you say it's true, it's a complete lie. It is useless if he tries to canvass to get votes from Polonnaruwa. MP, this is a lie. When distributing sand, priority must be given to Polonnaruwa. There is a massive development program being carried out in Polonnaruwa. Don't be jealous. It is your district that is being developed. What you are saying is that 40 tippers are taken in and sent. It is true, right? You say that it is true. Will you resign if it's a lie?
Meanwhile, these were the views expressed regarding the privileges of police officers at Parliament today.
Police officers at all positions have lost hope as the payments have not been made under the recent combined allowances scheme. The Ministry of Finance should be held responsible for this. I thank the Secretary of Defence and the Tender Board regarding the food tender for the Triforces, which is the best tender awarded in the history of the country. The game, which was played previously by the former Tender Committee Chairman G.S. Vithanage, Kamani Hettiarachi from the Ministry of Defence and several others, has come to an end. These cheap acts by the Ministry of Finance must stop. Officers of the Triforces and police cannot engage in strike actions. I believe that there are responsible officials at the Ministry of Finance, and I hope that these officers will be instilled with wisdom to provide promotions and also to pay the Bata allowance without inconveniencing the government. Police officers are the ones who provide income to the government through traffic fines. Why does the government and the Treasury promise to pay the combined allowances if they are unable to do so? At the end, all these allegations are posed to the President. If the allowances cannot be paid, what is the need for this government? Why is the Treasury making these promises if they cannot deliver them? I can present a list where police OICs have been appointed without any credentials by the Secretary of Defence. Isn't the IGP aware of this? Or is the Police Commission not answerable to anyone? Are they above everyone else? Just like the Constitutional Council, are they allowed to do whatever they want?
The heads of expenditure of the Ministry of Mahavali Development and Environment and the Ministry of Defence were debated in Parliament today. Now, these were the views expressed by President Maithripala Sirisena.
We have not weakened the Triforces in any way. We have strengthened the Triforces. There is a shortage of certain resources. There is a shortage of ships for the Navy and a shortage of aircrafts for the Air Force. On one hand, recruiting staff for the engineering and technical division of the Navy and Air Force will generate foreign income to Sri Lanka. When we provide training and send them overseas, we can generate foreign income. We have taken steps to obtain the latest technology to eradicate and minimize the spread of drugs and narcotics in the country. With regard to the police, I think that everyone from the police does a great service. The police should be transformed into a more people-friendly service. In my view, disrespecting or criticizing the police is not appropriate. They stand for 12 hours without eating their meals. There is no police officer who works on 8-hour shifts. They work 12 hours. The police service should be elevated to a better standard, and the government has taken these facts into consideration. There was a need to amend the laws and regulations to allow the police to control criminals. The law on that area was quite old. I amended these laws within 3 months. The Attorney General Department and the relevant institutions have been instructed to draft new acts. I believe that the police department should be subject to a complete change.
Police departmentuව සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම වෙනසකට භාජනය විය යුතුයි කියලායි මම විශ්වාස කරන්නේ.
The opposition expressed their views over the statement issued to media by Minister Mangala Samaravira and regarding the local office of Millennium Challenge Corporation.
Disregarding Minister Tilak Marapana, Manoj Tittawala submits a report to our permanent representative through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs requesting the approval for a co-sponsorship. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs must discuss such matters on a national importance with the government. Minister Tilak Marapana is not aware of this. However, Minister Marapana and President clearly state that they will send a separate group. In order to solve this issue, both groups join and Minister Tilak Marapana takes responsibility, and Minister Tilak Marapana, MP Sarath Amanugama, along with 4 others goes to Geneva. A few hours after presenting this proposal, Minister Tilak Marapana makes a statement that we do not agree and accept the particular paragraph in the proposal. Meanwhile, Minister Mangala Samaravira revealed to the media yesterday that everything done so far was a lie, and the proposal that was submitted by him when he was the former foreign minister was the right one. The proposal says that foreign judges must come in and act on missing persons must be established. Who governs this country?
අවුරුද්දක කාල පරිච්ඡේදයක් අපි අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ තමයි මේ රටේ ආණ්ඩු කරන්නේ කවුද? මේ ලිපිය මම හැන්සාට් ගත කරනවා. මේ ලිපිය අනුව සනාථ වෙනවා.
I will include this document in the Hansard. This document proves that the local office of the Millennium Challenge Corporation is located inside temple trees. Minister Sagar Ratnayaka challenged me in Parliament the other day to prove this fact and to resign from my position if I failed to do so. I have now proved my point. Minister Sagar Ratnayaka made a false statement in Parliament the other day. He said, how can there be an office of Millennium Challenge Corporation at the temple trees?
A project to provide sanitary facilities to students at the Puakpitiya Tamil Primary School was launched today.
These children are the future of Sri Lanka. While children living in the cities enjoy the luxuries of modern technology, more than 600 students who receive their education at this school were not even provided with their basic needs. However, the plight of these children did not go unnoticed by the Gammadda team. The Gammadda 1000 Projects initiative, along with the support of TJ Lanka group of companies, embarked on a mission to provide these children with the facilities that they require to help them one day become a useful and educated citizen of Sri Lanka, highlighting the importance of preserving the environment for our future generations. In line with the main project, saplings were planted at the school premises. English language books were also distributed to the school students.
German champions of mentalism, magicians of the year, world champions of mentalism, runners-up of America's Got Talent season 11. The Clairvoyants performed live at the Nelumpokana Mahinda Rajapaksa Theatre today.
This was the first Asian tour undertaken by the world-famous duo. A large crowd was attracted to this evening's event. The event was organized by Cinnamon Life. MTV NBC were the exclusive media partners of the event.
Well, that's a wrap of your primetime news for tonight. Thank you for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola D'Zoiza.
And I'm Joel Outskoon.
Take care and good night.